Thank you to our viewers tuning back into another CSE listed issuer update. I'm Anil Mall representing the CSE, and today I am speaking with David Fincham. David is the president and CEO of Highlander Silver Corp. It's on the CSE under the symbol HSLV. David, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great. Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate the opportunity. I'm looking forward to introducing Highlander to your viewers.
Absolutely. So without any further wait, why don't you tell us a little bit about Highlander Silver and the focus of your company?
Sure thing. So Highlander is an exciting new silver story. We're a company that's positioned for what we believe is an upcoming bull market in silver. We base that assessment of structural deficits of over 100 million ounces over the past 2 years and continued and projected demand, especially in the solar panel space. So a very constructive environment from a fundamental point of view. And we also believe that the interest rate environment is likely to improve this year, which will be further wind in the sails to the commodity complex. So all in all, a great time for us to be positioning the company. Last year was transformational for us. We announced one acquisition and one consolidation of a mineral district. So looking forward to talking about those a bit later on in the interview. And to add that we have a strong shareholder base in the shape of the Augusta Group and members of the Lundin Family, and we've been working over the past 12 months on building capacity across our board and management team.
You know, I want to dial it back to the two groups that you mentioned, Augusta Group and the Lundin Family. I think it's important to mention that it's nice to have support from such established names in the mining space.
Absolutely, it's very important, especially in the junior space, to have strong supporters like the Augusta Group and the Lundins, and they're very much behind the thesis behind Highlander Silver, which I explained at the top. So great to have that on.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the region that your focus is on, which is the Central Andes in Peru and South America. Now, can you maybe talk to our viewers that are not familiar with this region and its mining history and significance? What are the benefits of having projects in this region?
Sure. So I think the first principle is you have to go where the mineralization is. So Peru is the second producer of silver globally and has a very long mining history spanning hundreds of years.
Correct.
So there's an endowment point which is very important, which is why we went to Peru in the first place. And the mining history means that there's a very strong mining culture in Peru. Peru is very reliant on mining for its economy. And in the mining regions of Peru, there's all the infrastructure and human capital you'd expect associated with being around producing mines, some of which have been in production for over 100 years.
Correct. Now, are there any challenges having projects in those regions?
There's always challenges in the exploration space. So we always try and deal with them head on. I think front and center, aside from finding mineralization, which is obviously the purpose of the company and building value through that way, we have to have community and stakeholder engagement really front and center and be very focused on that.
Absolutely. So I want to dial it back now. You mentioned last year was pretty significant. I think you mentioned the company had 2 new projects last year. Can you maybe walk us through 2023 and some of these major accomplishments?
Sure. So we announced in November last year the acquisition of the San Luis gold silver epithermal project. This is in Ancash province, a mining friendly province. We're 25 kilometers west of Barrick's Pierina mine, which when it was running produced over 8 million ounces of gold. So we're in a mining region. We love San Luis because it's got a very high grade gold resource on one vein with an underexplored vein field. So the resource on the vein, called the ILN vein, is 500,000 tons at 21 grams per ton gold and 560 grams per ton silver. In gold equivalent of 460,000 ounces gold, 28 grams per ton gold equivalent. So really spectacular grades, and we believe this is one of the highest grade resources of its size yet to be mined in the world. So that's really our baseline at San Luis. As I mentioned, we're in a productive vein field, and there's evidence of that based on mapping to date, identifying quartz and high-grade gold at surface, and some historical drilling. There's one historical drill hole on a completely different prospect called La Bonita that returned 35 meters at 5.5 grams per ton gold. So we know about the fertility. We know it's a large system, and there's an opportunity as well because it hasn't yet been systematically mapped or sampled. So our first objective on the property is to get on and do that mapping and sampling. And our thesis is that we can grow high-grade ounces over time through successful and systematic exploration, finding more veins like Highlander.
Now, what about 2024? Year seems to be flying by. What are some of the milestones our viewers and investors can look out for from you and your team in these coming months?
Sure, Anil. But perhaps to give the right context about catalysts coming up, I could go back to 2023, because we also announced the consolidation of the La Estrella mineral deposit in Huancavelica province, south of Lima. So a different project. So we have two projects in the portfolio. And La Estrella is an epithermal silver-gold deposit with 41 historical drill holes. The first piece of work we did with that drilling information was to develop a mineralization model and then develop exploration targets based on that modeling work. And that produced a target of 25 to 60 million ounces silver and 0.2 to 0.7 million ounces gold. Those are ranges within a certain part of the property. There's room to expand that mineralization and also to look for higher grade areas based on our understanding of the structural geology. So these two projects are really going to be the basis of our news and milestones for 2024.
David, let's talk a little bit about your background. Obviously, how did you get into this space?
Well, I'm an exploration geologist with 25 years experience. I started my career at the San Cristobal silver-lead-zinc project in Bolivia. This gave me my first taste of silver, and it was a real privilege for my first job to be involved with a success story like San Cristobal. Subsequent to that, joined Anglo American. I was with them for 17 years. When I left Anglo, I was regional head of discovery for Americas, looking after mainly copper exploration across the greenfields and brownfields portfolio. I led successful teams in both of those areas. In terms of getting into Highlander recruited me 18 months ago. I was attracted by the composition of the board, the shareholders that we mentioned at the top, and the mandate to build a silver company in the junior space. So very focused on that now.
Any other key team members that you want to mention that we should be paying attention to?
Absolutely. So we've been focused on building capacity across the board and management team. In terms of management, we brought on Leandro Echevarria, our VP Exploration, last year. He's a very accomplished geologist. He has direct operating experience in Peru with Hochschild Mining and has led successful resource expansions across 3 mines. Has been responsible for greenfields discoveries in Argentina and Mexico. Across the board, we have deep technical and market experience in the board. And recently we announced the fact that Federico Velasquez is going to come and join us. We're very excited about Federico joining. He's currently president at Latin America for Solaris Resources. And he has deep experience in the CSR and stakeholder engagement areas. So obviously you will help us with all the decision-making at the board level around those things.
So David, with having the project in such a great location, having strong backing from established people in the mining space, what would you say differentiates you and your team from some of your peers that might be in the same space?
Yeah, great question. So as you mentioned, the 3 key ingredients are the team, the backers, and the projects. I think really what sets us apart is our projects. And the reason I say is that both projects have defined mineralization. So we know they're fertile mineral systems, but what really gets us excited as exploration geologists is the upside and the value potential across both San Luis and La Estrella.
We always encourage our viewers to go do their due diligence Of course, sign up for your newsletter, press releases, and even encourage them to reach out to you and your team directly if they have questions. Where would you like to direct them?
Absolutely. So obviously very happy for people to look into Highlander Silver more just by going to the website, highlandersilver.com. There we have our corporate deck and additional information on the company. Very happy, the team, we're very happy to answer any questions individually as well. So we have an email, info@highlandersilver.com. And
thank you so much, David. We at the CSE wish you and your team nothing but success as you move forward in this path. And to everybody watching and listening, you've been listening to Mr. David Fincham. He is the president and CEO of Highlander Silver Corp. It's HSLV on the CSE. David, again, thank you so much. I look forward to hosting you on again, maybe in the early or mid-summer, where we can talk a little bit more about your achievements and go through some of the results you and your team have come across.
Sure thing. Thank you very much, Anil.
Excellent. Cheers.